There is a painful truth that very few people are willing to admit. The harder you try to prove that you matter, the easier it becomes for people to take you for granted. You text first. You try to please everyone. You explain yourself when nobody asked. You fear being rejected, forgotten, or replaced. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to lose the very value you were trying so desperately to prove. But the Stoics saw life differently. They didn't chase attention. They didn't beg for approval. They didn't need to prove their worth. And strangely enough, the less they tried to be important, the more people respected them. Hello everyone, welcome to the Stoic Hypnosis channel. In today's video, we'll uncover 5 powerful Stoic lessons that can make you more respected, more valuable, and more important in the eyes of others. Not by talking louder, trying harder, or pleasing everyone, but by changing the way you see yourself. And the 5th lesson may reveal something you never expected. The thing that makes people truly value you is not what you thought it was. Now, let's get started. Lesson number 1. Stop chasing approval. One of the most powerful Stoic lessons is also one of the hardest to accept. You will never become truly valuable by trying to convince people that you are valuable. Think about how much of your life is quietly controlled by other people's opinions. You wonder if they like you. You worry about what they think. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing. You change the way you speak. You change the way you dress. Sometimes, you even change who you are, just to remain acceptable in someone else's eyes. And the tragedy is this: the more desperately you seek approval, the more power you give away. The Stoics understood that you cannot control how people perceive you. You cannot force someone to respect you. You cannot make everyone admire you. But you can control something far more important: whether you respect yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the opinions of others were outside his control. What mattered was the quality of his character. And this is where your transformation begins. Stop asking, "How can I make them like me?" Start asking, "Am I becoming someone I can respect?" There is a quiet confidence that appears when you no longer need everyone to approve of your choices. You become less desperate to explain yourself. You become comfortable saying no. You stop chasing people who constantly make you question your worth. And strangely, that is when people begin to notice something different about you. You are no longer asking to be chosen. You are choosing yourself. Remember this: the person who needs constant validation will always be controlled by the person giving it. But the person who has learned to stand firmly on his own values cannot be easily manipulated, ignored, or diminished. You don't become important by demanding attention. You become important when your presence no longer depends on it. Lesson number 2. Master your reactions. There is a moment in life when someone will hurt you. They will disrespect you. They will ignore you. They will say something designed to make you angry. And in that moment, you will feel an overwhelming desire to react, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, to make them regret what they said. But here is where most people lose their power. They react before they think. The Stoics understood something most people never learn. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control what happens inside you after it happens. Someone insults you. That is their action. But whether you allow those words to control your emotions, that is your choice. Think about how powerful this really is. When someone knows exactly how to make you angry, they know how to control you. If they can make you lose your temper, they can control your mood. If they can make you desperate for an explanation, they can control your attention. If they can make you feel insecure, they can control your behavior. But the moment you learn to pause, everything changes. You don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to explain every decision. You don't have to defend yourself against every misunderstanding. Sometimes, silence is not weakness. Silence is self-control. A Stoic does not remain calm because life is always kind to him. He remains calm because he refuses to hand his inner peace over to people who have not earned the right to control it. And there is something deeply attractive about a person who cannot be easily provoked. They don't need to raise their voice. They don't need to win every argument. They simply remain grounded. That kind of composure creates respect. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, your reaction is the one thing they may be trying to steal from you. Don't give it away. Pause. Breathe. Observe. Then choose your response. Because the person who controls his emotions controls the room without saying a word. Before we continue, take a moment and ask yourself something honestly. How many times have you given your peace away just because someone else made you angry? If this video is speaking to something you've experienced in your own life, don't let this lesson end here. Take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not because a number on a screen matters, but because if you're serious about becoming calmer, stronger, and more in control of your life, there are many more lessons waiting for you here. And stay until the end, because the next 3 Stoic lessons go even deeper, especially the final one. It may completely change the way you understand your own value in the eyes of others. Lesson number 3. Stop being available to everyone. There is a painful lesson that many people only learn after being used too many times. When you are always available, people eventually stop appreciating your presence. At first, they are grateful. They know they can call you any time. They know you will answer. They know you will help. They know that no matter how badly they treat you, you will probably still be there. And slowly, your kindness becomes an expectation. Your availability becomes an obligation, and your presence becomes something they no longer value. This is not because kindness is weakness. It is because anything that is constantly available can eventually feel ordinary. The Stoics understood the value of living according to your principles rather than according to other people's demands. You don't have to be available every time someone wants something from you. You don't have to abandon your priorities to solve everyone else's problems. And you certainly don't have to feel guilty for protecting your time. Learn to say, "Not now. I can't. That doesn't work for me." Without anger, without a long explanation, without feeling guilty. Because your time is your life. Every hour you give away can never be recovered. And when you constantly sacrifice your priorities to make other people comfortable, you are quietly teaching them that your time is worth less than theirs. But something changes when you establish boundaries. People begin to understand that your attention has value, your time has value, your presence has value, and perhaps most importantly, you begin to understand your own value. Remember, being needed is not the same as being respected. Some people only miss you when they need something from you. Don't confuse that with love. Don't confuse dependency with appreciation. Real respect begins when you stop abandoning yourself just to remain useful to others. So don't disappear from people's lives just to make yourself valuable. Simply stop giving yourself away so freely. Because when your presence comes with purpose, people begin to notice when you're not there. Lesson number 4. Let your actions speak. There comes a point in life when you have to stop explaining yourself. Stop explaining why you deserve respect. Stop telling people how hard you've worked. Stop trying to convince someone that you are a good person, because the more you explain your worth, the more you make their opinion important, and some people will never see your value. Not because you don't have it, but because they have already decided what they want to believe about you. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that arguing with someone about your character rarely changes anything. Words can defend you for a moment, but consistent actions can speak for years. Imagine someone underestimates you. They laugh at your ambition. They tell you that you will never succeed. The natural reaction is to prove them wrong, to work harder just so one day you can stand in front of them and say, "I told you so." But there is a hidden trap in that mindset. You are still living for them. Even your success becomes a response to their opinion. A Stoic chooses a different path. He doesn't build his life to impress the people who doubted him. He builds it because he knows who he wants to become. That distinction changes everything. You don't need to announce your growth. Let people notice. You don't need to tell everyone you're disciplined. Let your habits reveal it. You don't need to tell people you're strong. Let your behavior during difficult times prove it. And when someone continues to underestimate you, don't argue. Don't become bitter. Don't waste your energy trying to change their mind. Simply keep walking. Because there is a certain kind of power in becoming so focused on your own path that other people's opinions become background noise. One day, the same people who once questioned your worth may look at you differently, but by then, you won't need their approval anymore. And that is the real victory. Not proving them wrong, but becoming so secure in who you are that you no longer need to prove anything at all. Lesson number 5. Become someone you would respect. Perhaps the deepest Stoic lesson is this. Stop trying to become important in other people's eyes and become someone who is important in your own. Because if your entire sense of worth depends on how other people treat you, you will spend your entire life chasing something you can never control. One day, someone will praise you. The next day, they may ignore you. Today, they may admire you. Tomorrow, they may criticize you. If your confidence rises and falls with their opinions, you will never have peace. The Stoics understood that true strength begins when your identity no longer depends on external approval. Ask yourself, if nobody applauded you, would you still do the right thing? If nobody noticed your sacrifice, would you still keep going? If nobody knew how hard you worked, would you still be proud of the person you are becoming? Those questions reveal something important. Because real self-worth is built in the moments nobody sees. When you keep your promise even when it is difficult. When you walk away instead of seeking revenge. When you choose discipline over comfort. When you remain kind without expecting recognition. When you refuse to betray your values just to be accepted. That is where your character is forged. And eventually, something extraordinary happens. You stop chasing respect, and you become respectable. You stop begging people to value your presence, and your presence naturally carries weight. You stop asking, do they think I'm important? And you begin asking something far more powerful. Am I living in a way that makes me proud of myself? Because the truth is, you cannot force people to value you. You cannot control who stays. You cannot control who leaves. You cannot control what they say about you when you're not in the room. But you can control the person you become. And when you become disciplined, calm, honest, capable, and secure within yourself, people notice. Not because you demanded their attention, not because you begged for their respect, but because your character speaks before you do. So perhaps the goal was never to become important in the eyes of everyone. Perhaps the goal was simply to become someone whose absence is felt, whose words carry weight, and whose presence has meaning. Build yourself quietly. Let the world decide what it sees. And remember, the moment you no longer need to be important to others is often the moment you finally become impossible to overlook. Conclusion. Perhaps, after everything we've discussed, you realize something. Being important is not about making people need you. It is about becoming someone who doesn't need to beg for attention, approval, or respect. The Stoics understood that your true value is not determined by how loudly people praise you, how often they call you, or how many people admire you. Your value is built quietly, in your discipline, in your boundaries, in your ability to remain calm, in the way you keep your principles when nobody is watching. And perhaps the greatest freedom is this. You no longer need to convince the world that you matter. You simply live in a way that proves it to yourself. Because when you respect yourself, protect your peace, control your reactions, and remain faithful to your values, you naturally become someone others cannot easily overlook. The goal is to become so secure in who you are that you no longer need anyone else to tell you that you matter. And if this video gave you even one idea that made you look at yourself differently, subscribe to the channel and stay with us. Your support allows us to keep creating deeper videos about stoicism, self-mastery, discipline, and the psychology of becoming stronger in life. Thank you for taking the time to watch until the end of the video. See you in the next videos.